Hello again, friends. It's been a little bit. I got triggered because I could not get the items I wanted out of the demonic gorillas. I am like disgustingly dry at the moment. Let's actually double check. So, kind of ticked me off. I went to go play Yu-Gi-Oh! For a couple of days just to try and decompress from that. Yeah, 17, 1, 7, 2, 3, 0 Zenites. So, we're approaching 6x, or, you know, mathematically improbable at this point that things have gone this awry, but, you know, it is what it is, right? So today I would like to talk about Magic the Gathering, actually, because I've been following card games as of late, and card games are something I personally really like. I'm a big nerd like that, so I always enjoy card games and just theory crafting about them, because it's one of those environments where you always have something where you can think about. So it's like, you know, every single tier or whatever in a card game is a chance for you to think about like a new private server theory craft session, right? At least that's the way I view it, and every meta is something you can like break or mess around with. So I'll always like try out random garbage or mess around with stuff. It's just fun for me. You know, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is just like the latest one I've been messing around with, or on Master Duel in particular. But it's just been a little break from the drudgery of the demonic gorillas and the fact that I need 2 of them. I did unlock task storage though, and I did store 2 of those tasks. And so, yeah. So hopefully going forward, I'll be able to get my motivation back to make videos and such. Just stuff like that kind of kills me on the inside and out. And then it's just no bueno from that point. It's all lost. But time to reclaim the motivation, get back on the horse. I have enough demonic gorillas banked with task storage right now to do like well over, to break like 2,000. If I don't get at least a Zenite by then, who knows. I should be well over 2,000 though by the end of it. And then hopefully I just get 2 and then I don't have to think about it too much more. Oh, by the way, I'm just grabbing some feathers. I need 400,000. I'm sitting on like a million gold. I might as well invest it. Plus, I'm going to be doing demonic gorillas for a while from now. Fletching seems like a good enough goal. I have the head, so I might as well finish off the Elite Desert Diary next. Just get that out of the way. Why do I keep doing that? I literally just hopped, so I wouldn't have to do that. But apparently, I'm still going about doing it anyways. Lord knows why. Your guess is as good as mine. But today I would like to talk about, in the Magic the Gathering, the fact that they've race-swapped Aragorn and, you know, a whole bunch of the Lord of the Rings characters. And, you know, a lot of people don't really see this as like a huge hecking deal, but you have to understand what Lord of the Rings represents and what it's meant to be. It's meant to be a celebration of, you know, Western hegemony and Western culture, right? And, you know, you can't really reinterpret the races in Tolkien's work. I mean, and if you do, you kind of take away exactly what it's trying to celebrate. It would like be, you know, trying to portray roots and then just playing with a bunch of white people, right? You're kind of going counter to what the original author's intention was by their work. Like, it's just a slap in the face to any, you know, true fans of the series. And usually this kind of stuff doesn't work out, but who knows in the current world. Like, I guess, you know, the Rings of Power wasn't a good enough indication for people that this kind of stuff doesn't work. Like, if Amazon could make it work, Wizards of the Coast is not going to be able to make it work. And I'm sure people are going to buy it probably a lot just because it's a collectible. It'll have resale value, you know, you can invest in it and then sell it off later if you feel like it, right? So there's always that element about what you can do with it, but as far as going forward or how, you know, you want to approach something like that, like, this kind of stuff is very destructive for society. Like, you know, you can only imagine, let's pretend, like, you know, what if the races were reversed, or what if the roles were reversed? Yeah, and, you know, I get it, whataboutism, all of that, everyone's sick and tired, yes, you know, if the left has no standards, etc. But, you know, technically modern America doesn't have standards now because we've lost what made us America. Because we've lost our cultural roots and cultural understanding of Judeo-Christian culture, which is, you know, very evident in our disrespect for Judeo-Christian culture, which is why things like this are happening, and why it's so corrosive to, you know, national identity, to our position of hegemony in the world. And it's fine, let China take over. I'm not really interested in having America continue to be the king of the world, etc. But what's funny is a lot of the people that are promoting this sort of thing or trying to profit off of it are interested in America continuing to be the seat of power in the world. Like, I've talked about Tolkien's works before, but the reason why leftoids can't reproduce the glory of Tolkien's work is because they don't understand Judeo-Christian values. And if you remove that from The Lord of the Rings, there's really nothing there. It's not that interesting of a story without this overarching grand narrative, without exploring the hero's quest, personifying it, and personifying Judeo-Christian values. So by getting rid of all of this and just, basically sacrificing, the foreskin to Moloch, as one would say, we're at a state now where, the product and as well as anything made by the product is just degenerate by nature. And generally speaking, people don't like degenerate behavior. Like, certainly someone will put up with it in a back room hidden somewhere to, relieve some tension or something if they're into that, or that's, their current perversion. But the reality of the situation is, as far as going forward in society and making an impact on the world, if you're doing things like that or promoting things like that, generally speaking, you're setting yourself up to fail, which is why the Rings of the Power has failed. It's why, the Lord of the Rings MMO Amazon is going to make will likely, who knows, the gameplay might be amazing, it might be great, but the story on it I can almost guarantee is going to be awful. And it's not going to be awful because it's going to be woke or because of all of the other things. It's going to be awful because it's trying to imitate something that it doesn't understand and that it innately hates. You can't have your story be a walking contradiction with its own principles and then somehow turn it into something someone would want to watch. Like, it just doesn't work like that. Period. It would be like me trying to rewrite the Communist Manifesto. It just doesn't make much sense to try and do something like that. Just logistically, it's not going to add up. People are going to tell it's disingenuous, and it's going to leave a bad taste in anyone's mouth who actually, like, let's say you're, a commie or whatever. It's going to leave a bad taste in your mouth rereading my interpretation of the Communist Manifesto, i.e., using critical theory against Marxism, for instance. And that would be my new Communist Manifesto, and obviously real Marxists would despise something like that, and that they're entitled to, because I would basically be, taking a literal D all over their work. And so going about and doing things like that is, by definition, necessarily going to be destructive to the work, and it's going to be subversive. Now, I really don't care enough to do something like that. Like, no one's going to care. Like, at the end of the day, the Communist Manifesto doesn't really matter what's written in there, right? Communists just want power, and they don't really care, and that's why, every single communist state always will be corrupt, and the people that want communism are just people that want power. And they're too cowardly or not brave. Well, that means the same thing. They're too cowardly and too inept to admit it. Like, here's another concept for Lord of the Rings, too, that we can apply to this discussion is people will respect strength, period. It doesn't matter who or what you are. People, why am I doing it again? People will respect strength if you, are willing to project your ideas out and forward. If you're someone that believes in fully that they deserve power, that they want to have power over other people, that you can put yourself into a position of power and exert that influence and make it happen, then people are going to believe it and, actually partake of it if you're deserving of it, right? Communists want that, but they don't want to put in the actual effort or work to be able to get it. And then the end result is the same thing that happens in every other totalitarian state where this sort of ordeal happens. It's the same thing that happened in Nazi Germany, for instance, with Himmler and a lot of the other people who wanted to project power onto the world but weren't capable, either, inept or simply, not strong enough conviction or honest enough to be able to get it for themselves. So they worm their way in through alternative measures, right? That's, very standard, and it's very, very apt and a very light comparison to what happens with a lot of these intellectual properties and the blackwashing and the removal of white characters from it. So when you're taking Tolkien's work and then perverting it into some sort of, abomination or some sort of disgruntled orc, it really detracts away from the actual meaning of the story, for instance. And it's not just the black to white characters or the white to black characters that I'm mad about as well. I'm also angry about the fact that they changed the only black characters in Middle-earth to be white for some reason, as if that makes it okay, so now the white people are the bad guys instead of the black people are being the bad guys. Like, that still, simply put, is just a misinterpretation of Tolkien's work. It's just not good either way, no matter which way you spin it. Like, yeah, I'm not against being a bad guy or whatever. Like, if you've ever seen me on a private server or interacted with me, I'm willing to take opinions that, you know, might not be considered universally good or might not be considered morally just if I think it's true, you know, universal truths, etc. I've talked about this before. But it's just going to degenerate things further. I really don't understand the whole purpose of it. Like, you know, as far as deconstructing or destroying society, yeah, but, like, this is the kind of behavior that you would do to like, what the CIA does to, like, get some third world government to topple or, you know, kill some guy in the Middle East they don't like, right? This isn't really what we should be doing to Western cultures. It's basically warfare on our own state and doesn't make much sense. But, again, what do I know or what do I care? It doesn't matter anyways. The West is effectively dead, so this is all just, you know, much ado about nothing. At the end of the day, put on the sunglasses, get ready to bathe in the radiation, and just enjoy the collapse. We've earned it.